Hello and welcome. In this tutorial, that is Introduction to Adobe Illustrator, we will learn what is Adobe Illustrator and the interface of the Illustrator. When you want to learn Adobe Illustrator, you must know what is Illustrator. So Adobe Illustrator is a vector-based drawing and illustration program, but that doesn't explain much about it. So to make that definition clear, let me explain with the help of a picture. Here I have two images of the same logo, and suppose if I zoom in the first logo, you will see that the picture becomes a bit distorted. And if I zoom in furthermore in this section of the logo, you see that the image is a raster image which is made up of pixels, and the Illustrator has nothing much to do with the raster image. So going to the next one, in this image, if I zoom in, you'll see that the picture is still a crystal clear because it is not a raster image but a vector image which is made up of paths. And the Illustrator has to work with such kind of images where you can click on the paths and then you can edit on those kind of paths. And conversely, if I head over to the other image, I cannot edit on the paths because it is a raster image. But in this case, in the other image, you can manipulate the paths where you can edit the curves of the paths. And this is one of the example of what an Illustrator has to deal with. So when I keep increasing the size of this image, you'll see that slowly the quality of the image also decreases. But when I increase the image that is made up of paths in the Illustrator, you will see that the quality of the image still remains the same. So I can still change the size or the scale of the vector image as much as I want, but the quality of the image still remains the same. So some of the common types of artwork that you can create with Illustrators are logos, illustration artworks, and various types of other artworks. And generally what you're not going to be dealing in Illustrators are like the photos and the raster images. So I hope you got a comprehensive understanding of what an Adobe Illustrator is. So with that, let us also take a look at the interface of the Illustrator. So to do that, let me close this and reopen our Illustrator again. So let us open the Illustrator. So as soon as you open the Illustrator, it will show you some of the recent works that you have done or the new documents that you can create from here, which may look different in different versions of the Illustrator. In my case, I'm using Adobe Illustrator 2020, but nevertheless, if you are a beginner, go to Window and then go to Workspace and use the Essentials for the starting. So when I click that, you'll be given the menu, the toolbar, and the properties. And in some other different versions of Adobe Illustrator, the properties are just below the menu, but it is almost the same because whatever comes on that property panel, it will also be in this area. And along with that, you also have a blank space. So this blank space, think this one as if it is a table, and on the table you have the toolbox where you have the pencils, erasers, and all. And since you're not going to draw on top of a table, you'll be needing a paper. So in order to bring a paper or a document, you can go to File, click on New to bring a new document. Or for that command, you can also see the shortcut just adjacent to it. So I can also use that shortcut, that is Ctrl+N. And from that panel, you'll be selecting the document size or the type of the document that you'll be working. So in my case, I'm going to go to Print, where I have the regular paper sizes, and in here I'll be selecting A4 size paper, and the orientation options will also be there. So in the orientation, I will be selecting the landscape, and if you click on Create, a document will be created. So under the workspace of Essentials, this is how the workspace looks like, or the interface of the Illustrator screen looks like. On the leftmost of our screen, we have the toolbox where you have different icons, and each icon can be activated by just clicking on it, or you can also use the shortcut. As we can see, if I hover near it, you can see that the tool I can use it for the direct selection tool is A, and for pen tool I can use the letter P. So for all of them there is a shortcut which can be used while you work with Illustrator, and you will know which tool is being selected because it is highlighted or darkened. And also you will notice that the mouse pointer changes, indicating which tool you have selected. So suppose if I select the pen tool, you will see that the mouse pointer changes to a pen, and if I select the zoom tool, the mouse pointer changes to its equivalent icon. And if we look closer, some of the icons have some white arrow just next to it. It is because it has varieties of tools related to it. So for that, if you right click on the tool, you'll see there are varieties of options with pen tool. If I right click on the brush, there are varieties of the brush tool, and similarly to the other tools as well. So for such kind of tools, you can select the variations of the tools by right clicking on it and select the appropriate one. And if we look closer again, way down the bottom of the toolbox, you'll see two rectangular boxes. One is a bold one and one is a stroked out one. So if you're new to the Illustrator, these tools are used for fill color and stroke color of a shape. So this also indicates what color is being used for fill color and what color has been used for the stroke color also. And on the rightmost part of our screen, we have the properties, layers, and libraries. So the properties panel is nothing but the collections of the attributes of any object. So for example, let me draw a rectangle here, and if I draw a rectangle, any attributes that comes out here has to deal with that rectangle. Suppose like the fill color, if I change it to red color, the fill color will be changed to red color. If I want to increase the size of the stroke and change the color of the stroke to a blue one, it will be changed. So everything, whatever I have selected in this area, in my workspace area, whatever I have selected the object, anything that comes out here, it is about that particular object. Likewise, there are many other panels that you can work on in Illustrator. So for turning on those kind of panels, you will be going to the windows and turn on those panels that you need when you work on an Illustrator. But working with this kind of panels, we'll be learning that in the next tutorials. Now on the rightmost top corner of our screen, you'll see an option where you can select the type of the interface that you want to work with. So right now we have selected Essentials, which was done from our window, and then Workspace and Essentials. That can also be done easily with this option also. Now while working in an Illustrator, the screen, the color of the background screen, you can also change that. So for that you can go to Edit, Preferences, and User Interface. So in there you can toggle the darkness, the brightness of the screen. So for now I'm going to be using with the dark, and select whichever you want to work with and click OK. Now if I make a new document again, and it can be any kind of document, any size. So this time I'm going to create a portrait A4 size paper. So in an Illustrator, you can always toggle around between the different documents of whichever you are working with. In these two documents also you can copy those objects and paste on the other. So workspace of an Illustrator allows you to toggle around the different documents that you're working with, and also allows you to copy or move those objects from one document to another. There is much more to learn about the interface of the Illustrator if we turn on different panels in the screen. So in the next video, we'll be learning about making our own customized workspace and also how to save those workspace for our future uses.